So how much of a runway do you need before starting a business? There's two approaches here. The first one is the conventional one, and that's that you should save up and save up and save up so you have at least 6 months of income in your savings account so that if you don't make any money, you'll be fine. You should ideally have a lineup of clients that should sustain you for the first little while, and it's also nice if you can start that business in the middle of a booming economy when your product or service is in high demand. So that's certainly the ideal approach. But the other option is starting a business when you're not really making ends meet to begin with, so you don't really have a lot to lose. Sometimes the hardship is what provides the spark that switches you from idea into reality. Because for most of us, saving up 6 months of income is virtually impossible. And so if that is the bar you're holding yourself to before you can start that business, that thing might just stay an idea for a very long time. I opened my business like 4 years ago while my partner was in grad school and we had a 2-year-old son. And so I was the only income and I was making like $35,000 a year. We had a mortgage and we were not really making ends meet month to month. And I had just started to learn web dev the year before. I certainly did not have 3 months of savings. I did not have a long lineup of clients. But the truth is we weren't economically sustainable then, which in retrospect was really a blessing. I would have never left a job if I was making 70, 80, 90,000 a year. It would have just been too much risk, especially with kids at home. But I ran the numbers and I figured out if things didn't work out very well and we needed to rely on some like extra student loan living expenses, it would be possible to scrape by with a similar amount of income as I had before, and then I could use that unemployed time to learn code better and then maybe get a job that paid okay. That was the backup plan. So I put in my resignation letter, and then a week later, found out that we were expecting a baby number 2, and it got real fast. But somehow it worked out. I'm very grateful. Once I put in my resignation, then I could start telling my professional connections from that job that I was building websites. That led to my first few clients and that built the momentum. Whereas if I had stayed there just waiting and waiting for the savings or the client list to arrive, I don't think it ever would have happened. So on the front end of a horrific economic collapse in the middle of a global pandemic, is a really non-ideal to start a business in a lot of ways. But here's the thing, there is rarely a good time to start a business. And sometimes it's the hardship that finally pushes you to the edge and makes that big risk seem not so much riskier than staying put and doing nothing. So if you're out of work or have a lot more time to put into that side hustle, there's no time like the present. Not only that, there is a humongous disruption going on. I hate that word in like the startup-y speak, but that's the only way to describe what's happening right now. A massive disruption that has completely upended the entire world, the entire economy. And so while that has led to a lot of really brutally hard and sad situations, it is also shifting how people live and work and spend their money. And that means that there's an opportunity. There are new ways emerging of working and living. And it's possible that you could help solve somebody's problem and make a business out of it. Just because things are really awful on average does not mean that every single business and every single industry is in a complete tailspin. That's just my 2 cents.